A manhunt is underway for the shooter who killed the conservative political activist. The close ally of President Trump was speaking at an event at Utah Valley University yesterday when authorities say someone on a rooftop fired a single shot. The shooter then escaped into the chaos of the crowd. Moments ago, though, officials gave an update on their investigation, and it does sound like they have very, very good information about the person who they are chasing and video of his moments after the shooting. They say a weapon has been recovered. Listen to this.
We have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle. That rifle was recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. So the FBI laboratory will be analyzing this weapon.
Now, we spoke to one of the witnesses last night on the Daily Report who says he was just 15 feet in front of Kirk at the moment. Watch.
All of a sudden, we were all piling on the ground. I just remember instinctively shouting, "No, no, no, no." I reached for my phone to text my wife and to tell her that there was a shooter and that I loved her in case anything happened to me.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have condemned the violence. Take a listen.
In this country, we have the First Amendment. We have freedom to speak what's on our mind and shouldn't get shot because we believe in our system of democracy. Conservative, liberal, whatever you are, you shouldn't be shot for your beliefs.
This is horrific. This is awful. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorking of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America.
We've got team coverage of all of this for you this morning. Natalie Brand is standing by in Washington for reaction from the White House. Anna Schecter will have more on the investigation. But first, I want to get to CBS News reporter Andres Gutierrez, who's joining me live from Orem, Utah. Andres, what are you learning and what are you hearing from the Utah community this morning?
Well, Vlad, besides that murder weapon being analyzed, the FBI right now also working to analyze some footwear impressions as well as some forearm impressions they got of the suspect. So they have been working throughout the night in gathering this evidence, and those are some new pieces of information that we've received. They've also been able to develop a better timeline. We now understand that the gunman showed up here to the campus of Utah Valley University 8 minutes before the noon event yesterday and then moved through the staircase wells of a building nearby about 200 yards away from where Charlie Kirk was speaking, went to that rooftop and ended up taking that sniper's position. They then captured him on surveillance camera, leaving the building from the opposite side of where he fired that single shot and moving down through the staircases and off the campus. Ended up going into a nearby neighborhood. The investigators have canvassed that neighborhood. They have asked those individuals, homeowners, to provide Ring doorbell, and they are compiling leads at this hour to try to get a better understanding as who this individual is. And they are confident that they have the technologies available to go ahead and to identify this individual before they start releasing the name and photographs out to the general public. So they are quite confident that the technologies will be able to identify this individual. There were two individuals that were taken into questioning yesterday. They've been released. One of them was charged with obstruction of justice, but they've also noted that these individuals have been harassed since those names have been released. We are not naming them here on CBS News, but their names are out there on social media, and apparently they have been harassed. The FBI asking the public not to do that. And as you said, there is just overall a lot of shock and awe out here about what happened yesterday. Politicians, as you heard, condemning the political violence, but out here, just people having to experience the trauma of seeing Charlie Kirk getting assassinated in front of them. There were 3,000 people in attendance. Security also being questioned here, given that amount of people. There was no checkpoints. There was essentially no checking of tickets for the public coming in, so anyone could just come into this open venue. And so of those 3,000 that were in attendance, there were about 6 campus police officers that were guarding the perimeter of this particular event. But again, could have probably not done much given the position of where this shooter ended up firing off that single shot.
So, Andreas, we just heard from FBI and the special agent in charge, and remarkably, and I think this is good news for people who are worried out there because this suspect is still at large, that they have extensive video, and they've also recovered the weapon that was used in the assassination.
Absolutely, Vlad. And at this point, they essentially will rely on, the license plate readers that are in the area. They'll tap into those databases. They'll also go ahead and tap into the vast surveillance systems around here and try to see if they could perhaps use any AI technology, perhaps that now is out there available to them, to see if they can zero in and trace the steps of this individual before and after he ended up doing this assassination.
All right, Andres Gutierrez reporting live from Orem, Utah, the site of that heinous act of political violence yesterday. Andreas, thank you very much. All right, let's get now to CBS News White House correspondent Natalie Brand. She is joining us from the White House. Natalie, as you know, Charlie Kirk was not officially part of the administration, but he was very, very close with the president. He was especially close to Vice President J.D. Vance and the president's son, Donald Trump Jr. Can you just describe his influence? And we've seen the president angrily yesterday reacting to the news, and again this morning with the news that he's going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Just give us the macro view of how influential and how loved he was by members of the Trump world.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to why the president and his team, White House officials here, simply devastated by this political assassination. There were tears at the White House yesterday. It's a very somber day, always on 9/11, but I think you could hear it in the president's voice when he was speaking at the Pentagon a short time ago, and it speaks to the closeness of their relationship that he opened his remarks at the 9/11 remembrance ceremony at the Pentagon with a tribute to Kirk and this announcement that he would be bestowing on him the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. Take a listen to a little bit more of what he had to say.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big. Thank you.
Last night, in a video message, the president also noted his anger and grief. He blamed rhetoric from the left, although, again, as you've been talking about, this investigation still in its very early stages. So, unclear what the exact motivation here was. But just the sense of grief here at the White House, the vice president, in an extremely personal and lengthy account on social media, detailed his relationship with Kirk and how Kirk helped him really launch his political career and advocated for him to become Trump's running mate, noting that some of the most successful events organized on the campaign trail were not organized by the campaign, but by Kirk's group, Turning Point USA. He went on to say he wasn't just a thinker, he was a doer, turning big ideas into bigger events with thousands of activists, Vlad.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to read the post by the Vice President of the United States, where, as you say, Natalie, he is very pointed in sharing some very personal details about his relationship with Charlie Kirk, even going back to the moment where they first met and how Charlie reached out to him, and what Charlie Kirk did, which was to debate. You may not have agreed with his points of view, but he was always warm. He was always open to debate. And he was doing what he had always done, which is engaging young people and encouraging them to be part of the civic lesson here. All right, Natalie ran for us at the White House. Natalie, we appreciate you. Let's dig a little deeper into the investigation. Let's bring in CBS News senior coordinating producer for crime and public safety, Anna Schecter. Anna, just give us an update. We just heard from the special agent in charge of the investigation from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But what more can you tell us about what's happening behind the scenes for this manhunt?
Sure. Well, investigators say they are confident that they will be able to identify the individual. They say they have good quality video, but from my read of that press conference, they don't have a name ID yet. And if they wind up needing the help to identify who the individual is, they might go to the public. So let's take a listen to the Utah Department of Public Safety lead, that is Bo Mason, and he had this to say about where the investigation stands.
So what I'll release about the suspect is suspect blended in well with a college institution. We're not releasing many details right now, and we will soon, but right now we're not. But that individual appears to be of college age. We are confident in our abilities to track that individual. If we're unsuccessful in identifying them immediately, we will reach out for the public's help and the media's help in pushing those photos.
So he and his team are going through surveillance footage. If they have some kind of sense of a vehicle, license plate readers, they're going to be casing local businesses, certainly wanting to limit how this individual might be able to travel and leave the area. So all of that is underway. You had dozens of agents descend upon the campus yesterday, but they were tripped up, essentially. They delayed themselves by the confidence that was expressed when there were those two individuals who were arrested. One immediately, that individual was determined not to be the shooter. He was let go. Then they took into custody a second person. That individual was also let go. So a lot of confusion. And unfortunately, that lent a little bit of too much confidence to teams working the case, thinking they might have the person who carried out this assassination, and they did not. That gave that individual time to get away. But what I will note also, as Andres was saying earlier, they have a footprint, they have a forearm print, a palm print. That can help them, but it can only go so far. I think that the technology of surveillance footage is really going to be the key here.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a world now, Anna, where there are cameras everywhere, and my guess is that the FBI has been able to access those cameras, especially on a college campus, which in recent years has stepped up security. And so I have no doubt that the FBI will eventually find the person who committed this heinous act. Anna Schecter, thank you very much. We appreciate it.